General Catherine Summers stood at the viewport of the transport ship, watching as the massive structure of Centauri Prime came into view. The Galactic Council headquarters floated in space like a gleaming silver wheel, its spokes extending outward to various docking bays. Kate, as her few friends called her, felt her stomach tighten. "First time at Council headquarters, General?" asked Lieutenant Frank Ortiz, who had appeared silently at her side. Kate nodded. "First time representing all of humanity, too." The transport ship slowed as it approached a docking bay. Kate's reflection stared back at her from the viewport. Her uniform was spotless, every medal precisely placed. At 53, her brown hair showed streaks of gray, kept in a tight military bun. The lines around her eyes had deepened during her 30 years of military service. "Admiral Harmon's death was unexpected," said Frank quietly. "Earth Command had little choice but to send you." Kate turned away from the viewport. "I'm a soldier, Frank, not a politician. I belong on a battlefield, not in a room full of aliens, arguing about trade routes." "Sometimes words are the battlefield," Frank replied. The ship docked with a gentle bump. Kate gathered her tablet and straightened her uniform one last time. Her orders from Earth Command had been clear: observe and remain silent during the first sessions. Learn the dynamics of the Council before engaging. Earth was still new to the galactic community, and caution was advised. They were met at the airlock by William Hayes, Earth's diplomatic representative. Bill was tall and thin with a friendly smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "General Summers, welcome to Centauri Prime," he said, offering his hand. "I wish it were under better circumstances. Admiral Harmon was well respected here." Kate shook his hand firmly. "I have big shoes to fill. The council session begins in 3 hours, Bill said as they walked through the docking bay. "I should warn you, the other representatives aren't exactly welcoming to humans right now." "Why is that?" Kate asked. "We're newcomers. Most species on the council have been part of galactic society for thousands of years. They see us as primitive upstarts who got lucky with our faster-than-light technology. They entered a transport tube that would take them to the human delegation's quarters. Through the clear walls, Kate could see aliens of various species moving through the station. Some looked almost human, while others were so different that Kate couldn't tell which end was the front. "Your orders are to observe only?" Bill asked. "For now," Kate confirmed. "Earth Command wants me to get the lay of the land first." Bill nodded. "Good. The Council respects patience. Speaking too soon would be seen as impulsive and primitive." The transport tube stopped, and they exited into a corridor lined with doors. Bill led them to the human delegation's quarters. The rooms were comfortable but plain, with furniture designed for human bodies. "The council session will be translated in real time," Bill explained as Kate set down her bag. "Just remember that translation sometimes loses cultural context. What sounds reasonable to us might be offensive to them and vice versa." Kate nodded. "I understand diplomacy, Bill. I've negotiated ceasefires before." "This is different," Bill said. "These aren't humans with different beliefs. These are entirely different evolutionary paths, different ways of thinking." After Bill left, Kate reviewed her briefing materials on her tablet. Lieutenant Frank organized their secure communications equipment in the corner. "According to this," Kate said, "the Zorians and Taurans have been pushing for increased fees on human trade ships." Frank nodded. "They control key routes to our outer colonies. If they raise fees too much, those colonies might not survive. And Earth Command wants me to just sit there and say nothing while they strangle our colonies." Kate closed her tablet with frustration. "For now," Frank said, "we're outnumbered and outgunned in this part of space. Military action isn't an option." 3 hours later, Kate entered the council chamber with Bill at her side. The room was a vast circle with tiered seating, each delegation given a small section with controls and display screens. In the center was an open area for formal addresses. Above them, a transparent dome showed the stars of the Centauri system. Kate counted representatives from 26 species. Some were furry, others scaled. One appeared to be a collection of floating crystals. The human delegation's seats were near the back, befitting their recent admission to the council. A tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms approached them. "Ah, the new human military representative," he said, his translator making his words sound slightly flat. "I am Vexpar of the Zorian Confederation." Kate inclined her head slightly. "General Catherine Summers, Earth Defense Force." "Such a primitive title," Vexpar said. "General. It implies such limited thinking. The Zorian military doesn't have generals. We have thought coordinators." Kate felt her jaw tighten but remembered her orders. "Say nothing. Observe. Learn." "The council will begin shortly," Vexipar continued. "Do try to keep up. I understand human minds process information rather slowly compared to more evolved species." With that parting insult, Vexpar returned to the Zorian delegation's seats. Bill leaned close to Kate. "The Zorians have been the most hostile since we joined. They see us as a threat to their dominance in this sector." The council session began with announcements from the chair, a reptilian alien called Speaker Sath. Kate listened carefully as various issues were discussed: border disputes between 2 insectoid species, a request for disaster relief for a moon colony, proposals for new trade regulations. When the topic turned to increase protection fees for trade routes through Zorian space, Kate sat straighter. These routes were vital to Earth's colonies. Vexipar stood to address the council. The increased military presence required to protect these routes from pirates costs the Zorian people. It is only fair that those who benefit from our protection share in the cost, Bill whispered to Kate. This will increase fees by 30%. New Eden Colony can't afford that. Kate wanted to speak, to argue against the proposal, but her orders were clear. She remained silent, watching as various representatives debated the issue. Most seemed to support the Zorians. When the vote came, the increase passed easily. Earth's single vote meant nothing against the coalition Vexispar had built. "This is just the beginning," Bill said quietly as they left the chamber hours later. "They'll keep pushing to see how much we'll take." "And we just let them?" Kate asked. "For now," Bill said. "We observe, we learn, we find allies. Then we push back." Back in her quarters, Kate sent her report to Earth Command. She described the council dynamics, noted which representatives seemed reasonable, which seemed hostile. She detailed the voting patterns and highlighted potential allies for future negotiations. In her private thoughts, not included in the official report, she wondered if humanity had made a mistake joining the Galactic Council. Perhaps they should have remained isolated, building their strength before revealing themselves to the galaxy. But it was too late for such thoughts. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger community, and Kate's job was to ensure they weren't crushed by those who had walked there longer. That night, as artificial lighting simulated Earth's day-night cycle, Kate stood again at the viewport, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there were Earth's colonies, filled with people, counting on her to protect their interests. "I'll find a way," she whispered to the stars. "Just give me time." 3 months passed with Kate attending council meetings every day. She sat in silence, watching and learning. She noted which representatives spoke to each other during breaks. She observed who voted together and who argued. Most importantly, she saw how they all underestimated humans. Each night, Kate sent detailed reports to Earth Command. Lieutenant Frank gathered his own intelligence, making friends with the service staff who maintained the station. The cleaners, cooks, and mechanics heard things that diplomats didn't. "The Zorians are planning something new," Frank told Kate one morning as she prepared for another council session. 3 of their military ships changed course yesterday. They're heading toward the trade route to New Eden Colony. Kate frowned. New Eden already can't afford the new fees. If they block the route completely, the colony will run out of supplies within weeks, Frank finished. When Kate arrived at the council chamber, Vexipar was already speaking to the gathered representatives. The increased pirate activity near the New Eden trade route requires additional security measures, the Zorian said, his forearms moving in graceful gestures. "We propose doubling the protection fees for this specific route." Kate felt anger rising in her chest. There were no pirates. This was just an excuse to pressure Earth's most vulnerable colony. Bill rose to speak. The New Eden colony cannot afford such an increase. We request the Council consider alternative solutions. Kulith, the Tauran representative, immediately stood. The tall, gray-skinned alien had a voice that sounded like stones grinding together. Perhaps if humans had more advanced ships, they could protect their own trade routes, Kulith said. But since they rely on our protection, they must pay for it. Several representatives nodded in agreement. Kate remained silent, though her hands clenched into fists under the table. The vote passed with only 3 species voting with Earth against the increase. New Eden would now face financial ruin or starvation. After the session, Kate received an urgent message from Frank. Meet me in Secure Room 3, immediately. The secure rooms were special chambers designed to block all forms of surveillance. Kate found Frank waiting with a small data chip. One of the maintenance workers was servicing the Tauran delegation's quarters, Frank explained as he inserted the chip into a reader. He found this hidden behind a wall panel. The screen showed technical specifications for defense systems, around 3 human colonies. How did the Taurans get this information? Kate asked, her voice tight. These are classified defense plans. Someone is feeding them intelligence, Frank said. But that's not all. Look at these. He brought up another file showing Tauran ship movements near human space. Not just regular patrols, but battle formations. They're preparing for military action, Kate said. Not just the Taurans, Frank replied. I've tracked unusual ship movements, from the Zorians and the Krell too. 3 species, all positioning forces near our colonies. Kate's military training kicked in. They're coordinating. This isn't about trade fees, they're planning to attack. She sent all the evidence to Earth Command through their most secure channel. Within hours, she received her response. Continue observation protocol, do not confront. Defensive preparations underway. For the next week, the council meetings continued as normal. Kate sat silently while Vexpar and Kuleth proposed new regulations that disadvantaged Earth. Bill fought back with diplomatic arguments, but he was always outvoted. Then news arrived of a border incident. A human mining ship had allegedly fired on a Tauran patrol near the colony of New Eden. The Tauran crew claimed they had responded in self-defense, destroying the mining vessel and killing all 15 humans aboard. This is absurd, Bill said, when they received the news in their quarters. Our mining ships aren't even armed. The emergency council session that followed was hostile from the start. Kuleth displayed doctored footage showing the mining ship firing first. Kate knew it was fake, but she had no way to prove it. The human aggression must be addressed, Vexapar announced. We propose sanctions against all human colonies in this sector, effective immediately. Bill tried to speak, but his microphone was mysteriously disabled. When he switched to a backup system, his words were drowned out by technical feedback. The sanctions passed with a large majority. Earth's colonies would now face strict limitations on trade, travel, and communication. That night, Kate received a secure transmission from Admiral Patricia Goldstein, her superior at Earth Command. General Summers, our intelligence confirms your suspicions, the Admiral said, her face grave on the screen. We've intercepted communications between the Zorians, Taurans, and Krell. They're planning coordinated strikes against New Eden, Horizon, and Liberty colonies within the next 2 months. Kate felt cold. 3 of our most populous colonies, why now? They've realized our faster-than-light technology could eventually make us stronger than they are. They want to cripple us before we can grow. What are my orders? Kate asked. Continue. Your silent observation, Admiral Goldstein said. But you are now authorized to begin implementing Protocol Themis if necessary. Kate's eyes widened. Protocol Themis was an extreme contingency plan developed when humans first joined the Galactic Council. It had seemed paranoid at the time. Are you sure, Admiral? Once initiated, there's no going back. Earth Command is unanimous. Prepare for Themis, but maintain your cover. The Council must believe we are still ignorant and weak. After the transmission ended, Kate stared at the blank screen. Protocol Themis would change everything. She thought of the colonists on New Eden, Horizon, and Liberty. Millions of human lives at risk. Lieutenant, she called to Frank, who had been waiting outside. We have new orders. For the next 6 weeks, Kate continued her silent role in the council. During meetings, she observed and said nothing. But when the sessions ended, she and Frank worked tirelessly, sending coded messages to Earth's hidden operatives throughout council space. Small, unmarked ships began to move into position. Special forces teams quietly infiltrated key facilities. Electronic warfare specialists prepared their systems, all while Kate sat silently in council meetings, allowing the other representatives to believe she was powerless. The situation worsened when 3 human cargo ships were seized by Tauran forces, allegedly for inspection. The crews were detained without communication. When Bill protested, the council voted to extend the detention for security purposes. One evening, as Kate reviewed the latest Themis preparations in her quarters, she received an alert from one of her hidden intelligence operatives near the Zorian homeworld. Major fleet movements underway, the message read. Zorian battle group heading toward New Eden. Estimated arrival, 3 days. Kate immediately contacted Admiral Goldstein, who confirmed the information. Our sources in the Tauran government report similar movements, the Admiral said. They're moving earlier than we expected. Should I activate Themis now? Kate asked. Not yet. We need absolute confirmation of hostile intent. Keep watching. The next day in the council chamber, Kate noticed Vex, Par, and Kuleth in deep conversation before the session. They looked pleased with themselves. When Speaker Sath called the meeting to order, Vexapar immediately rose to speak. Honored representatives, he began. We have uncovered evidence of human weapons being stockpiled near the borders of council space. For the safety of all peaceful species, we propose a temporary occupation of the human colonies of New Eden and Horizon to verify they are not being used as military staging grounds. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Kate felt her pulse quicken, but kept her face expressionless. This was it, the pretext for invasion they had been planning. Bill rose to object, but once again his communication system failed. Kate watched as the council chair recognized Kuleth instead. The Tauran Republic supports this measure, Kuleth declared. Our intelligence shows human military vessels gathering in these regions. Occupation is necessary to preserve peace. More lies. Earth had been careful to keep their defensive preparations hidden. Someone on the council was about to propose a vote to approve the invasion of human territory under the guise of peacekeeping. Kate's secure tablet vibrated silently. A message from Earth Command flashed on the screen. Zorian fleet has fired. On New Eden Orbital Station. Themis authorized. Activation code, Olympus. Kate felt a cold calm settle over her. 3 months of silence were about to end. She touched the small device concealed in her uniform pocket, ready to activate it at the perfect moment. The council chamber buzzed with voices as representatives discussed the proposed occupation of human colonies. Speaker Sath, the reptilian council chair, called for order. We will now vote on the emergency measure to place peacekeeping forces on the human colonies of New Eden and Horizon, Speaker Sath announced. All in favor? Hands and tentacles and light signals rose across the chamber. Kate counted quickly. It would be an overwhelming majority. Before we complete this vote, Speaker, Sath said, does the human delegation wish to make a statement? All eyes turned to Bill Hayes, who stood and tried to speak into his microphone. No sound came out. He tapped it, tried again, but the system remained dead. Kate stood up. The chamber went silent. For 3 months, the human general had never spoken, never participated beyond her silent presence. Some representatives leaned forward in surprise. The human military representative wishes to address the council, Speaker Sath said, sounding puzzled. This is unusual. Kate walked slowly to the central speaking area, her boots making soft sounds on the polished floor. She felt the weight of every gaze. Speaker Sath, honored representatives, Kate said, her voice strong and clear. I must address this council on a matter of utmost importance to galactic security. Vexapar stood up, his blue skin darkening with anger. The human has no standing to delay this vote. They are a junior member and their diplomat has waived the right to speak by not using his allotted time. My microphone has been sabotaged, Bill called out from his seat. As has happened multiple times when I've tried to speak against measures targeting Earth. Kate continued as if she hadn't heard the interruption. For 3 months I have observed this council's proceedings in silence. I have watched as measures were passed that threatened the survival of human colonies. I have witnessed the systematic undermining of Earth's position in galactic society. This is not relevant to the vote, Kuleth growled. I have also observed, Kate continued, the coordination between certain council members to position military forces near human space. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some representatives looked confused. Others, Kate noted, looked guilty. The human is making baseless accusations, Vexpar said loudly. This is why their primitive species should not have been admitted to the council. Kate reached into her pocket and withdrew a small silver device. It is time for truth. She pressed a button on the device. Immediately, every screen in the council chamber went dark. The translation systems fell silent. Emergency lights flickered and died. The massive doors to the chamber sealed with a heavy thud. Confused shouts filled the room as representatives tried to activate their systems. Nothing worked. Even personal devices had gone dead. Kate walked to the center of the chamber, the only calm figure in the chaos. From her pocket, she took out another device and placed it on the floor. A holographic display sprang to life, floating in the air above the device. It was the only light source in the room besides the stars visible through the dome. The hologram showed a star map of council space. On it, small blue dots began to appear, pulsing steadily. 1, then 5, then dozens, then hundreds. What are we seeing? Demanded Speaker Sath, moving closer to the hologram. You are seeing the current positions of human stealth vessels throughout council space, Kate said, her voice cutting through the noise. The chamber fell silent again. Ships that have been in position for months while I sat quietly in this chamber. The representatives stared at the hologram, then at Kate, then back at the hologram. Hundreds of ships positioned near key military installations, government centers, and major space lanes. Impossible, whispered Vex's Par. Our detection systems would have found them. Your detection systems, Kate said, were designed to find what you know. Humanity has been developing stealth technology since before we discovered faster-than-light travel. It was our specialty, even when we were limited to our own solar system. She touched the device again, and the hologram changed to show real-time footage from one of the stealth ships. It was orbiting silently above a massive Zorian defense platform. While you discussed increasing trade fees and planned the invasion of our colonies, these ships moved into position, Kate explained. They carry no colony-destroying weapons, no planet killers. That's not our way. She changed the display again. Now it showed the Zorian battle fleet that had been heading toward New Eden. The ships were drifting, their engines dark. 2 hours ago, this fleet fired on our orbital station at New Eden, Kate said. 8 humans died. In response, our stealth vessels activated targeted electromagnetic pulse weapons. Your ships are now powerless, their crews alive but unable to continue their attack. Gasps echoed around the chamber. Vexpar's forearms trembled in rage or fear. Kate couldn't tell which. You committed an act of war, Kuleth shouted. No, Kate replied calmly. We prevented one. The same defensive measures have been applied to the Toran and Krell fleets that were coordinating with the Zorians. All crew members are unharmed. All ships are intact. But they will not be invading human colonies today. She touched the device, once more. The hologram now displayed intercepted communications between the Zorians, Torans, and Krell. The plans were clear. A coordinated attack on 3 human colonies, disguised as a peacekeeping mission, followed by permanent occupation. We have known about this plan for weeks, Kate said. We could have withdrawn from the council. We could have launched a preemptive strike. Instead, we chose a middle path. Speaker Sath moved closer to Kate. What have you done to the council chamber? A localized version of the same technology that disabled the attack fleets, Kate explained. All systems will be restored when we finish this discussion. A representative from a gaseous species that Kate recognized as the Alani drifted forward. Why reveal your capabilities now? You have lost the advantage of surprise. Kate nodded respectfully to the Alani. Because despite what has happened, humanity still believes in the potential of this council. We still want peace. But peace must be built on truth and mutual respect, not domination and fear. She walked in a slow circle, making eye contact with representatives from each species. What you have seen is only a fraction of our capabilities. The ships you see on the display are only those we chose to reveal. This was a bluff, but a calculated one. In truth, Earth had committed almost its entire stealth fleet to Protocol Themis. But the other species didn't know that. For 3 months I was silent in this council because I was ordered to observe and learn, Kate continued. I learned that some among you fear humanity's potential so much that you would rather destroy us now than allow us to grow. I learned that others among you would stand aside and let it happen. She stood straighter, her voice taking on the commanding tone that had led armies. That ends today. Vexpar had recovered some of his composure. You cannot hold this council hostage. There will be consequences. There already are consequences, Kate replied. Your attack fleets are disabled. Your secret military installations near our borders have been neutralized. Your communication systems throughout council space are under our control. She wasn't just addressing Vexpar now, but the entire council. We did this without taking a single life. Remember that. We could have destroyed your ships, bombarded your bases. We chose not to. Kuleth growled, a low, threatening sound. What do you want, human? A new beginning, Kate said simply. When I restore power to this chamber, Earth will propose a new set of agreements. Fair trade terms, mutual defense pacts, independent verification of all parties' compliance. She looked up at the stars visible through the dome. There are threats in this galaxy far worse than humans. We've seen the reports that this council keeps classified, the deep space anomalies, the lost exploration ships, the dead worlds discovered at the galaxy's edge. Several representatives shifted uncomfortably. These matters were rarely discussed openly. Humanity does not want to rule the council, Kate continued. We don't even want to fight you. What we want is to help build a galactic community that can face the real dangers out there. She pointed to the hologram still showing the disabled attack fleets. This is not humanity's strength. Our strength is knowing when to hold back. When to show restraint. Every ship you see there could have opened fire. None did. The chamber was silent now. Even Vexpar and Kuleth seemed to have run out of protests. I will restore your systems now, Kate said. When I do, the vote on occupying human colonies will be cancelled. Instead, we will begin discussing the terms for a new relationship between Earth and the Galactic Council. She bent down and touched her device again. Slowly, the lights in the chamber came back on. Screens flickered to life. The translation systems hummed as they reactivated. Speaker Sath tested his communication system. It's working again. All systems have been restored, Kate confirmed. And as a show of good faith, humanity will transmit the technical specifications for detecting our stealth technology. Not because we have to, but because we choose to. She returned to her seat beside Bill, who was looking at her with a mixture of shock and admiration. That was not the diplomatic approach we discussed, he whispered. Diplomacy failed, Kate replied, quietly. But this isn't victory through force, it's creating a foundation for real diplomacy to begin. The council chamber was quiet as Bill finished presenting Earth's proposals. Kate watched the representatives closely, noting their reactions. Some looked thoughtful, others worried, a few angry. Speaker Sath broke the silence. These proposals require careful consideration. We will recess for 3 hours so delegations may consult with their governments. As representatives filed out of the chamber, many gave Kate a wide berth, as if she might activate another device at any moment. Only the Alani representative, a swirling cloud of gas contained in a transparent floating sphere, approached her. A bold strategy, General Summers, the Alani said. its words translated through a small device attached to its containment sphere. The Alani appreciate directness. For too long this council has been guided by whispers and secrets, think we. You for your understanding, Kate replied. Earth values the Alani's fairness in past votes. The Alani pulsed slightly, which Kate had learned was their equivalent of a nod. We were among the few who opposed the increased fees on your colonies, not from any special love for humans, but because unfairness ultimately harms the council itself. After the Alani drifted away, Bill turned to Kate. We should return to our quarters and prepare for the next session. This will not be easy. Their secure room. Lieutenant Frank waited with updates. General, all human stealth ships report successful operations. The enemy fleets remain disabled but stable. Life support systems are functioning normally. Kate nodded. Any changes to the tactical situation? A few species have mobilized additional ships, but they're maintaining distance from our revealed positions. They're being careful. The door chimed and a council security officer appeared on the screen. Representative Vex's Par requests a private meeting with General Summers. Kate raised an eyebrow. That's unexpected. It could be a trap, Frank warned. Or an opportunity, Bill countered. The Zorians are proud. Vexpar coming to you rather than summoning you shows he recognizes the shift in power. Kate considered for a moment. I'll meet him. Here, not on his territory. And scan him thoroughly before he enters. 20 minutes later, Vexpar stood in the center of their meeting room. His blue skin had a grayish tinge now, and his forearms were held close to his body rather than in their usual expressive gestures. General Summers, he began, his voice lacking its usual confidence. My government has instructed me to open a separate channel of communication with Earth. I'm listening, Kate said, remaining seated. The Zorian Confederation is impressed by humanity's technological achievements. We believe a private arrangement between our peoples would be mutually beneficial. Kate understood immediately. You're offering to break your alliance with the Taurans and Krell, to side with Earth instead. Vexapar's eyes blinked in rapid succession. We are offering a realignment of our strategic interests. The Taurans have always been unreliable allies. And what would Earth gain from this private arrangement? Kate asked. Zorian support for your proposals in the Council, access to our trade networks, defense cooperation. Vexapar leaned forward. Together, our species could lead the Council. Kate stood up slowly. 3 days ago, Zorian ships fired on our orbital station at New Eden. 8 humans died. Yesterday, you proposed occupying our colonies. Political necessities, Vexpari said dismissively. All can be forgiven in the interest of a new alliance. This isn't about alliances or power blocks, Kate said firmly. Earth's proposals are for all Council species, not just those who side with us. We don't want to replace one form of domination with another. Vexapar's 4 hands made a complicated gesture. You are being naive, General. The Council has always operated through power blocks and secret deals. It is the way of galactic politics. Not anymore, Kate replied. That's the point of our proposals: transparency, equality, mutual defense. Impossible ideals, Vexpar scoffed. Perhaps, but they are our ideals, and we will fight for them. Kate moved toward the door. If the Zorian Confederation wishes to support our proposals on their merits, we welcome that support. But we will not make secret deals that undermine the very principles we're fighting for. After Vexpar left, Bill looked at Kate with concern. You just rejected an alliance with one of the most powerful species in the Council. No, Kate corrected. I rejected a deal that would have betrayed everything we claim to stand for. There's a difference. When the Council reconvened, Kate could see that much had changed. Representatives who had barely acknowledged humanity before now watched her carefully. Speaker Sath called the session to order. Before we discuss the human proposals, Speaker Sath announced, the Tauran delegation has requested to address the Council. Koleth rose, his massive gray form towering over the other representatives. The Tauran Republic categorically denies any plan to attack human colonies. The communications presented by General Summers are forgeries. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Kate remained expressionless. Furthermore, Kuleth continued, the unprovoked attack on our fleet is an act of war. We demand the immediate withdrawal of all human forces from Toran space and reparations for the damage to our ships. Speaker Sath nodded. The Council recognizes General Summers to respond. Kate walked to the central speaking area again. This time there was no need for dramatic devices. All eyes were already on her. The evidence speaks for itself, Kate said calmly. But if the Toran Republic disputes it, I propose a simple solution. She activated the chamber's main display screen, showing a Toran warship drifting powerless in space. This is the Toran flagship Dominance. Its computer systems contain the complete battle plans for the invasion of New Eden Colony. She looked directly at Kuleth. I offer to restore partial power to the Dominance, so 2 weeks had passed since Kate revealed the approaching threat to the Galactic Council. The chamber that had once been filled with political maneuvering was now a center of frantic activity. Representatives who had been enemies now worked side by side, preparing their species for a danger greater than their differences. Kate stood before the main tactical display, reviewing the combined fleet positions with representatives from 7 species. The Alani, Zorians, Torans, Krell, and 3 others had committed their largest warships to the defense force. The unknown vessels will reach this sector in 5 days, Kate said, pointing to a star system near the edge of Council space. Based on their trajectory, they appear to be heading directly for the Toran colony on Dacus Thor. Kuleth, who had become a reluctant but practical ally, nodded his massive head. Dacus has already begun evacuation, but we cannot move all 2 million colonists in time. They won't need to evacuate if our plan works, Kate replied. She looked around at the assembled representatives. The combined fleet will intercept the unknown vessels here, in the Haraxis belt. The asteroid field will provide cover for our ships and limit their maneuverability. Vexpar, still uncomfortable working directly with Kate, spoke up. The human stealth ships are the key to this strategy. Without their sensor data, we will be fighting blind. The stealth ships are already in position, Kate confirmed. They've been tracking the unknown fleet for days. We're calling them voids now, based on their light-absorbing properties. The Alani representative pulsed anxiously. Have the stealth ships detected any response to communication attempts? None, Kate said. We've tried all known frequencies and protocols. The voids either cannot or will not communicate. Speaker Sath entered the tactical room, moving quickly for his usually deliberate species. General Summers, the final vote has been completed. The Council has unanimously approved the Summers Accords. A ripple of surprise ran through the room. Kate had proposed the comprehensive agreements, now named after her despite her objections, as a framework for the new Council. Equal trade rights, mutual defense obligations, transparent information sharing, and independent verification mechanisms formed its core. She had expected lengthy debates, not rapid approval. The approaching threat changed everything, Speaker Sath explained, seeing her surprise. When faced with extinction, old grudges seemed unimportant. Kate nodded. Thank you, Speaker. This gives us the unified command structure we need for the coming battle. Under the Summers Accords, Kate had been appointed strategic commander of the combined defense fleet, with subordinate commanders from each participating species. It was an extraordinary position for a human, but her handling of Protocol Themis had convinced even former enemies of her capabilities. As the meeting concluded, Lieutenant Frank, now Captain Frank after a field promotion, approached Kate with a secure tablet. Message from the stealth ship Nightshade, General. They've observed something new. Kate reviewed the report quickly, her expression growing grim. The Voids have destroyed another deep space monitoring station, but this time, Nightshade was close enough to record the attack. She activated the main display, showing grainy footage of a shadow-like vessel approaching a small station. There was a pulse of dark energy, and the station simply disappeared. Not exploded, not broke apart. It ceased to exist. Some kind of matter conversion weapon, Kate said quietly. Beyond anything in our technological understanding, The representative stared at the display in silence. The magnitude of the threat was becoming clearer. "We need to accelerate our preparations," Kate said finally, "and we need a backup plan in case the intercept fails." 3 days later, Kate stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Defiance, the designated command ship for the combined fleet. Through the view screen, she could see ships of various designs and sizes, the largest gathering of military vessels in Council history. Bill Hayes, who had insisted on joining the mission despite the danger, stood beside her. "From diplomatic disputes to fighting side by side," he mused. "Not how I expected my posting to turn out." Kate smiled briefly. "Diplomacy and war have always been connected, Bill. Sometimes it takes the threat of one to make the other work." "General," called the communications officer, "incoming transmission from the Zorian flagship." Vexpar's face appeared on the screen. The Zorian commander looked uncharacteristically serious. "General Summers, our long-range sensors have detected the Void fleet changing course. They will reach the intercept point 6 hours earlier than projected." "Understood," Kate replied. "Order all ships to battle stations. We'll advance to position Alpha and prepare for early engagement." As Vexpar's image disappeared, alarms sounded throughout the ship. Crew members moved with practiced efficiency to their combat positions. "This is it," Kate said to Bill. "Everything we've planned for." "Do you think we can win?" Bill asked quietly. Kate considered the question. "I think we have a chance. That's more than we'd have had 3 weeks ago when we were still fighting each other." The combined fleet moved into position in the Heraxis belt, ships taking cover behind massive asteroids. Kate's strategy relied on surprise and concentrated firepower. The stealth ships would provide targeting data, allowing the fleet to fire on the voids from hidden positions. "Void fleet entering sensor range," announced the tactical officer. 27 vessels detected." "That matches the stealth ship's count," Kate confirmed. "No surprises so far." The view screen showed the approaching void vessels, black shapes, against the stars seeming to bend light around them. They moved in perfect formation with no apparent communication between them. "All ships maintain position," Kate ordered. "Wait for my command." The voids entered the asteroid field, moving carefully through the floating rocks. They showed no sign of detecting the hidden fleet. "They're approaching optimal firing range," said the tactical officer. 30 seconds. 20. 10. "All ships fire at will," Kate commanded. The combined fleet opened fire simultaneously, hundreds of energy weapons converging on the void vessels. The first barrage caught them completely by surprise. 3 void ships disappeared in flashes of dark energy. "Direct hits confirmed," reported the tactical officer. "The voids are returning fire," warned the sensor operator. Dark pulses shot from the void vessels, striking asteroids and converting them to expanding clouds of unknown particles. 2 Krell ships that failed to move quickly enough suffered the same fate, disappearing instantly. "Evasive maneuvers," Kate ordered. "Pattern Delta, continue concentrated fire." The battle raged for hours, ships darting between asteroids, firing. Whenever they had clean shots, the voids adapted quickly, their formation spreading out to make concentrated fire more difficult. "We've lost 12 ships," reported the tactical officer grimly. "The voids have lost 8. Kate studied the tactical display. The battle was not going as planned. The void's matter conversion weapons were more effective than anticipated, and their ships were faster than initial readings suggested. "General," called the communications officer, "the Alani flagship is hailing us." The Alani representative appeared on screen, its gaseous form pulsing rapidly with agitation. "General Summers, we've analyzed the energy patterns of the void. Weapons. They operate on a quantum frequency resonance. It may be possible to disrupt them with a coordinated pulse from all our ship's shields." Kate turned to her science officer. "Is that possible?" "In theory, yes," the officer replied. "But all ships would need to modulate their shields to exactly the same frequency at exactly the same time. The synchronization would have to be perfect." "Can we do it?" Kate asked. "With the command codes established under the Summers Accords?" "Yes," the science officer confirmed. Kate made a quick decision. Send the shield modulation protocols to all ships. We synchronize in 3 minutes. As the countdown proceeded, Kate addressed the fleet. All ships, prepare for synchronized shield modulation. This is our best chance to neutralize the void. Weapons. On my mark, activate the pulse. The remaining void vessels were grouping for another attack run. They seemed to sense something was happening and accelerated toward the fleet. 30 seconds, announced the tactical officer. They're charging weapons, warned the sensor operator. 15 seconds. The voids fired, dark energy pulses streaming toward the combined fleet. Now, Kate ordered. Every ship in the fleet activated their modified shields simultaneously. A wave of energy spread outward, meeting the void weapons fire. When the energies collided, there was a massive flash that temporarily blinded sensors. When the screens cleared, the void energy pulses had dissipated. More importantly, the void ships themselves seemed to be drifting, their systems disrupted by the shield pulse. It worked, Kate said, almost disbelieving. All ships concentrate fire on the disabled voids. Don't give them time to recover. The combined fleet attacked with everything they had. One by one, the void vessels were destroyed, unable to maneuver or defend themselves. Hours later, when the last void ship had been confirmed destroyed, Kate ordered the fleet to stand down from battle stations. The victory had come at a heavy cost. 28 ships lost with thousands of crew members from various species.